Our next presenter is Mary Plummer from Blackmagic Design. Now, Blackmagic just keeps putting more and more functionality into DaVinci Resolve, and they give away the basic free version. But we have a studio version that we're giving away today. But Mary's an expert at Fairlight Audio, which is another company. They just bought that and wrapped it in. But she's going to tell us about DaVinci 19.1 and some of the new things that they're doing, as well as Fairlight. So take it away, Mary.
All right. Hi, everybody. I can't actually see you, but I know you're there. All right. Just out of curiosity, how many of you have actually used or heard of DaVinci Resolve? Okay. All right. Hey, that's fantastic. Okay, that's great. I'm in the right place. Okay. Just checking. You never know who the audience is. All right. So DaVinci Resolve 19.1 came out recently. Before that was 19, which what we announced at NAB. I was just pointing out the fact this just happens to be from a project. For anyone who doesn't know DaVinci Resolve, it is a full post-production workflow software. So everything can be done right in the box. From syncing your dailies over here on the media, well, that was fun, on the media page. The cut page is one of our two different pages for being able to edit. This is your nonlinear basic editing system. You can do everything from cutting trailers all the way up to feature films. Anything in between can be done inside of the edit page. Obviously, Fusion is for our visual effects. Color grading is, a lot of you have probably heard of color and possibly use that in DaVinci Resolve. Fairlight is where I'm going to be spending most of my time today, showing you some of our audio workflows and just some of the new things and focusing on some of our AI. I know that's the big thing right now, not the Skynet version, but the kind where, that actually helps do some of the tedium with our everyday, kind of makes our quality of life a little easier so we can focus on more creative things. So I'll point out some of those features. And of course, the last page is our deliver page where you can output in many different formats. So since most of you have already heard of DaVinci Resolve, I won't spend too much time on that part of all the things we can do. Just know that every single page has had many, many updates, every single version. The free version of DaVinci Resolve, which you can download anytime, it works on Mac, Windows, Linux. It will work not only on your local system, like my laptop here, but it will also work let me just jump over here. You can also work on a network if you happen to be networked within your LAN system. And of course, there's a cloud version as well, which I'm not signed into. But by cloud, you can be working globally with people from anywhere, anytime, which we do all the time. And that's kind of the new thing, right? Is working, trusting your media to be out there somewhere that you can't actually hold on to it. That took getting used to, but here we are. So looking at this, I just want to talk about a couple of our new features that we have, or just some of the AI fundamental features that are kind of time saving. So I'm going to just jump in, and this one isn't as new, but it is very helpful. I'm going to go into the Fairlight page for a moment, and I'm just going to switch into this Dolby Atmos project. Now, I'm mentioning Dolby Atmos because immersive formats is a big deal now. Have any of you worked in immersive, in shows that end up in immersive sound? So that could be Dolby Atmos, it could be ambisonic, it could be large scale or small scale projects, but being able to deliver in those formats is very helpful, which we have. In this case, I have a Dolby Atmos project, which right now I have it set to, it's playing out in 714, maybe. And we have all the tools to be able to actually master and mix and output that. But you can also play these back on the other pages. So for example, if you have DaVinci Resolve Studio, you are able to, I'm just going to switch timelines for a minute. Even if I'm on the edit page and someone I just need to sync something and I have a director, someone just wants to hear how the Dolby Atmos mix sounds, you can do that. You can actually play those back. This is just the Dolby Atmos master file in that timeline. And I just wanted to point out that's how it's going to look. And you would be able to play that from here as well. Depending on how you have this, what kind of speakers you're working with, you can also change it to another format if you need to right here. Just right click and I can change that format. Let's change my track right here to a different Dolby Atmos format. I can a different Dolby Atmos format. I could go to stereo. I could choose binaural if I wanted to. So however I wanted to change my track settings, it would then allow me to play that back. So in case they don't have a 7.1 system and they're just listening on their headphones, they could totally do that right from here. So that is very helpful. And just mentioning our different immersive formats, I'm going to go into preferences and just show you in the preferences, we do have, let me see if I can zoom in on that, a lot of different, I'm going to use a lot here, but many different immersive formats. So it doesn't have to be just Dolby Atmos. We've added full ambisonic workflows as well for being able to fit sound within a sphere and play that out and make it sound much more immersive. Again, with some of the newer technology, whether it's visors or gaming or for whatever, you have all of those different formats as well. So just pointing that out. Now let's get to some of the fun stuff. I'm going to show you a couple of our AI features, but since I'm looking at this Dolby Atmos project, one of the things that comes up a lot, again, just using that word, is let's say you inherit a project. Now I'm over here on the Fairlight page. Have you ever inherited a project where you're taking it over from someone and there's a whole lot of files in a bin, unnamed, or maybe they're named, but there's zero organization of any kind, right? You just are stuck with project and a whole lot of clips and you're trying to go in there. And, especially with audio, it's like, what is this stuff? And in fact, all of these clips, none of them have any kind of name. So one of the things I was going to point out, and this AI feature is one of our DaVinci Resolve Studio features, you're able to basically create collections where it will use AI to listen through the sound and organize it for you. Now, it doesn't mean it'll edit it for you, but it will help you figure out what you're working with. So in this example, anytime you bring in a project, if you just spill open collections right here on the left, I'll just zoom in on that a little bit. It'll always show you your video clips, separating those from your audio clips. It'll show you anything that's audio only. And as you can see, because this was an imported Dolby Atmos master, everything just has these names, music or effects, and a number. Completely unhelpful if I'm trying to find the shot of the helicopter, right? I'm just going to have to go fish. Or I could try some categories. By the way, nothing in dialogue yet. Music, effects. Very, very little in these clips. So what I was going to point out is to use our first AI tool. And again, this wasn't brand new, but it is worth showing. Is I can just right click on that and say audio classification analyze. And now I am on a laptop, but it's going to analyze all those audio files and it will use AI to try to figure out what I'm using, what I have, and then give me separate bins where it will categorize those. And again, it's not something you might use every day, but it is one of those quality of life things I thought I'd throw in before I get to some of the other fun stuff. So almost there. Looks like it's thinking on that last one for some reason. It still says it's analyzing, but I sure think it's finished. So I haven't seen that before, so I just canceled it. But let's just say it works really well, and I have a feeling this is because I'm screen recording, that it's choking my system maybe. But anyway, it works really well, and then of course categorizes those. So I will jump out of this, and instead of running that again, I'm going to show you something else that's more interesting than just categorizing. Let's go into, just show you some of our new AI tools. The first one I wanted to show you was something that would have been so handy in so many projects I've worked on, is the music remixer. Okay, and to back up, what am I talking about? I'm talking about a track effect that will listen to music and will allow you to remix it as needed, live even, or record that, and that way you can create you can karaokeify something if you need to, not that you would do that. But if you suddenly, the only sound you have is something and there's too heavy in the bass, there's too much drum, just someone is asking you to make a change to something at the last minute, whether you're editorial or you're in the sound department, or you have a finished something you're about to screen and the director goes, I hate that, there's way too much drum there, what do we, get the composer on the line, or whatever you need to do. They may not be available, but you can use your AI to fix that with the music remixer. So I'm opening up and I'm working with a trailer from a feature film called Too Much Life, that was done entirely in DaVinci Resolve. And the way that our track effects work is you just select a track that you want to adjust and go into the inspector and turn that effect on. So in this case, it's the trailer of a film.
My name is Harper Hudson, and I go to Garden Island School.
So you can hear this, and that's the actual soundtrack, but the one we're going to use is this alternate sound, which at the last minute they decided to use to highlight a new artist.
My name is Harper Hudson, and I go to Garden Island School. My followers.
Okay, so do you see the problem or hear the problem? Yes? The dialogue or the vocals in that music is stepping all over our voiceover. We got to fix this. You notice we're down to stems right now, and we're supposed to be screening this in like minutes. So this is where I could use our AI, comes into place. I'm just going to select that alternate music track and come over here to our inspector on the right-hand side. This is where you can turn on any of those. And notice that with DaVinci Resolve 19.1, up here at the top, you can also switch your inspector anytime now between track or clips, in case you ever had an issue with which one you're working with. We're looking at the tracks. These are all of our track effects that you can apply to the entire track. We have voice isolation, which cleans up anything but the dialogue. We have our dialogue leveler. I'll show you these in a minute. The music remixer is the one I'm going to turn on here. And right here, I could actually tell it to mute any of these different elements, or I'll just bring up the controls, which I just did. And by bringing up the controls, you'll see it here. I'll hide the inspector. And looking at the controls, pretty easy to follow. Yes, voice, drums, bass, guitar, other. Other would be your keyboard or horns, strings, things that don't fit into these other groups. So quickly, if I wanted to listen to this exact same trailer, only this time kill the vocal.
My name is Harper Hudson, and I go to Garden Island School. My followers always ask, how do you become president every...
Okay, so I took that out. Let's do it this way. And then
Wow, I have a good plan. Do you have a meeting with...
So I could also just turn it down a little bit if I wanted to, and you could use it for all different types of music. Now this one was simple because I had a music track, but let's do something a little more challenging just because I like that. That's how I roll here. Let's do this is a scene, a finished scene. Once again, this one is baked. This has everything already in it. This has the dialogue, music, sound effects. It's all built together. And in playing it out, the director's like, you know, this has never happened to you, I'm sure. Just a little too much bass. It's a little too Seinfeld, or it's a little too caper. We need to pull back on the bass or pull back on the drums or something like that. Again, this would be that situation. I'll just play a little bit.
Out of focus. No wave.
You hear that? A lot of bass going on there, right? So again, this is a great opportunity to just, even though it's a finished clip, I could put it on the clip itself. Right there's a music remixer, or I'll just drop it on the track this time. Right here on the track, turn it on, open it up. And this time I'm going to play around with the bass and the drums.
It's in focus. You're standing.
Wave.
There's that bass.
That one.
Just took that out.
In focus. You're
Now it kicks in, or let's play with the
Hey,
percussion. I could pull that down, bring it up. And all of this is automatable. Is that a word? It is now. There you go. Automatable. I just turned that on. So now my automation will record any changes I make.
bigger.
More bass, less drum. You know, assuming I have my automation turned on and my plugins, the ability to do that, then yes, I would be able to change,
No surfer.
make changes over time if I wanted to. So that is kind of fun. Just gives you a whole different type of control. And yes, this also would allow you to take a piece of music and turn and create, let's say, a percussion only version of that and just bounce it out really easily. But because I don't have a lot of time, I'm not going to spend the whole time on just this one tool. Let's look at another one. And I know there's a lot of AI out there and a lot of people are using them, but for those of you who already work with DaVinci Resolve, these tools are in here, so it's really helpful. And so you might as well know where they are and how they work. So let's look at the next one I was going to show you was our dialogue separator. And this is a very simple clip. And again, for these demos, it's easier to just do a simple clip. So that's what I'm doing. And what the dialogue separator does, I'll show you where this is. Again, it's inside of our track effects. We have the leveler, which I'm not going to use right now. We have the separator, which is right here. And what the separator does is allows you to independently control the voice, the background, and the ambience. Okay, now you may have worked with tools like this before, but what's nice is it's built right into DaVinci Resolve. This is one of our native plugins now. So I can open this up. Now, we have other tools as well. Let me just play this scene for a second. Oops. I'm sorry, I have that laptop thing. I don't know what we would call that, but I'm not real swift on a laptop for demos, but we're doing it. We're here. There you go. And so if I were to play this, it's a little noisy at the beginning. You can hear that, right? Okay. So there's a lot, it's kind of roomy, and there's a lot of other things happening here. Now, if you look at the controls, it's very simple, voice, background, and then the ambience is going to be the reverberance in the room, or just that low-level sound that you may or may not want to adjust. The background could be the beeping truck. Have you ever done that interview where there's a truck out back making noise, and you can't get the interview back because they're literally jumping on a plane and you're done. You can't get them again. So it's that sort of thing. So you can take out background noises. So I will just show you the controls. Background. And I just lowered down the ambience. I'm going to bring that back up. So I'm making it extra ambience-y. Not a word either, I know. But you feel that extra room, and then I can dial that out. And so cool, right? So again, just pointing out the fact that we have all of these different tools. And again, that's just one basic one. We also have let me just show you our other track effects real quickly that we have, like voice isolation, which is an all or nothing. That will take out helicopters, crowd noise, traffic, anything like that. It'll just take those immediately out. We also have our dialogue leveler, which is nice. I'll point that one out. The dialogue leveler, by the way, works on the free version of DaVinci Resolve. It's right here. I will turn that on and open that up. And what this one will do is this will go through, and you've seen a ducker, you kind of know how the ducker works. This one is watching your levels, and it's basically going to balance those out as you go. I'll just turn this on, and let's take a look at this one. Also, let me add a meter so you have something you can look at that you can see it. There we go. Just open up a little meter. There we are. All right, so without the dialogue leveler, you'll see her levels are hot, right? I'll turn it down a little bit even. But even so, a little bit hot. So it's all over the place, right? That would be our dialogue. Now, when I turn on the leveler, you also have choices. Just so you know, the dialogue leveler is 3 different processes at once. You can choose which ones you run. And again, this is in the free version of DaVinci Resolve. It'll reduce the loud dialogue if you want, lift soft dialogue, and reduce background noise. And all of this, you can also give it a few other options as well if there's certain things you're aiming for. But what's great about this is you just turn it on. And now if I play this back.
When you vote dating with us, you vote a real leader. I remember my birthday.
Right, and I was mainly focused on the levels there. Obviously, I would use my dialogue separator, which I think I may have left on, and that might be making some adjustments as well. But you get the idea, it's going to auto level it. We have a ducker. I know duckers are not a brand new thing, but that was new in DaVinci Resolve 19. And the one thing I will add about the brand new ducker addition that we have in DaVinci Resolve 19.1, which just came out, is that now you can use multiple channels or multiple tracks to feed the ducker. So if I were to play this out, let me just get my ducker. And I'm going to use a ducker for music. And by the way, the ducker is also in our free version of DaVinci Resolve, so you do not have to pay for the ducker. There it is right here. This is our ducker. If I were to play this, I will play it with it turned off. So the music's a bit loud, and it's going to get louder. You can hear, again, too much.
Will you teach me how to surf?
All right, so we really kind of need to duck this particular piece. And again, for this, the ducker is a built-in tool. Now, instead of turning on the ducker levels here, I'm going to go over to the music track, bring up my ducker, and this is something that was brand new in DaVinci Resolve 19.1. So I just want to point out is right now the ducker's source is just one track, dialogue 1, but you can now add more tracks to that ducker. So I will also add dialogue 2. Now, obviously, I would have many more tracks, but you could take all of those different tracks and do that. And if you're wanting to duck a bus, you could use our sidechain compression, and that will allow you to choose a bus, and we'll do that automatically as well. So once we have that set up, now my ducker, oops. All right, let's open that up, turn it on, and you'll see it duck. See how it's ducking those level? Oops, no, it's not, because it's not turned on. Oh, that. Just give it a second.
Will you teach me how to surf?
Okay, and that'll duck down. And of course, you can also modify those levels as well. How quickly it's going to react, and all of those settings are built in right here. So that's the ducker. Now, one of the other things I'm super excited about, which I will jump into because this is unique to DaVinci Resolve. You know, those of you who have ever worked with it, you know that everything it can be collaborative. So I can be working on the minute an edit is finished cut, and you know, face it, picture lock is a myth, right? It's like Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, and locking picture forever. And so one of the things that we can do, well, it's true, right? We just don't, picture lock is just, it's not real. Is collaborative work, right? And so, and you notice that if an editor finishes cutting something, whatever that happens to be, as soon as they've finished their cut and they're moving on to the next scene, I can be doing the audio work, and color can be doing the color grading. And you notice there is no export out to some other software. There is no waiting for files. Even if you are working by cloud, everything is syncing constantly in the background. And so basically, and you could be working with proxies while the raw media is loading, so you never have to stop. And I work great, I mean, audio proxies are meant for audio, right? Because I can get started right away. But bottom line is I don't have to wait. I just jump right in and I'm already working on sound. And a lot, you know, I can duplicate the timeline and start working from there. We could be working the same timeline, same project. And like I said, so color and sound can easily be working at the same time, which is great. But what I wanted to point out, which is unique, and I'll just show a very simple example, is panning has gone AI now. Because this is DaVinci Resolve, we have Fusion, right, which has trackers. We have Color Page, which has trackers. So why don't we put trackers on our panning as well? And that was something that was brand new with DaVinci Resolve 19. So I will show a very simple example, but this opens a whole new way of thinking. It's much more creative to pan visually sometimes than Etch-a-Sketch, right, with knobs and things. Some of you may be good with the Etch-a-Sketch, but you know what I'm saying, that whole left, right, up, down by turning knobs on your hardware. And so the way we can do this, it's very simple. And again, in this case, I'm just showing a basic shot. In fact, let me make sure all my automation is cleared on this. Reset. And if you take a look, this is just a clip someone took from an airplane. In fact, I will show no automation at all. Let's make this a little bit bigger. And this was just a shot from a boat of an air show, right? Nothing magical. Let's go to the beginning. And play this out. Right, it's a plane. It's stereo. And there's kind of maybe a smidge of sound movement from one speaker to the other. There may be a tiny, did I say smidge? I'm from Ohio, so we say things like that. But moving from left to right, only because of where the camera, you know, the camera that actually shot this was. Now we can do more with that with the panning, obviously. And so let me put this back. And instead, what I'm going to show you is right here, whenever you're looking at your viewer, you actually can turn on these controls, which are tracker controls. And you have these tracker controls even in the free version of DaVinci Resolve. So I'll show you the free way to track by just choosing something and setting automation. And we can also do it with AI as well. And so because I'm working with the studio version, I'm going to have the AI do the tracking for these airplanes. First thing I'm going to do though is bring up my panner. And I wanted to point out to you, and I noticed that if you're newer to DaVinci Resolve, or if you haven't worked with 19, or maybe not much with the audio, the 3D panner is pretty cool, right? We can see that really well. But we can also see if I can make this work. You can hold down and you can actually see it from different perspectives. So whatever you're doing with your sound, you'd be able to see that, reset, and you can also change that perspective really easily. So even if it's just stereo, it may matter to you exactly where something is placed, so you can obviously make those adjustments right here, which is great. The main thing I'm going to do is right now the sound is going fully left and right. It's a full spread. I'm just going to bring that in a bit because these planes aren't that big. So there, I just kind of tighten this up so it'll be a smaller signal traveling across the screen from left to right. And I'm going to close up the panner now, and we're going to work entirely off of the viewer. And in order to use the auto pan, all I need to do is make sure that I have auto selected, that I'm showing my tractor controls, and I have to choose what's happening with those planes. They're moving left and right and a little bit up and down. So I've selected both of those here. And I need to also tell my tracker, what am I tracking? Well, I'm tracking this plane right here, so I'm moving it over. Now, some of you are probably thinking, wow, look at that. It even knows they're planes. Not really. That's just because the track is named planes. I can't give you false credit there on something. But, if this was named Bob or if it was named, Audio 1, then these would be saying Audio 1. So that's just a naming thing. But all I did was move the tracker, as you can see. And once I've done that, I've set it to left, right, up, down, and I click this button and wait. And what it's going to do is it's actually going to visually track that sound. And if I play it across, you'll see the trackers following the planes. And if I were to look at my automation, let's go to the pan automation, left, right, you can see there's that left, right curve, and there is the up, down curves. Both of those were created instantly by just using the auto pan. So this is really good for creative work as well. And I can even have something that's audio only and start creating things even if I don't have visuals. So I'll show you the free way to do this now. I'll use this bike as my example. Another really exciting clip here of a bike. And those of you who are bike enthusiasts, nothing meant by that at all. Here's the bike. Again, I'm going to just tighten up the spread a little bit on this one so that it's a smaller signal so that it has some room to move. Obviously, if I do the full stereo spread, the bike may move, but the sound won't. So I really want that sound to actually travel, and that's why I'm changing the size of this, basically. Now, if I were to move this bike, I could do it this way. I'm just dragging on my, adjusting it this way, but instead, again, we're going to use the tracker, and this is the free way to do it. I have to show the tracker controls. You won't have access to auto, but I can say I want it to move left and right and up and down as this bike travels across the screen. And then to set it, the other thing I need to do is make sure my automation controls are there, which they are, and I'm going to turn on my automation. So it is set for panning. Okay, and as long as my pan automation is turned on, then how do I do this? Well, select the track to see your tracker. If you want to set a point of automation, and let's see, I want to set this to left, right, let's say. If I just hold down the Option or Alt key and just click right there on the bike, let's use the light, because I think the tracker will see that. I just set a keyframe, okay? Now I can play, and I can set another keyframe. And just by hitting the Option or Alt, I just set another keyframe right there on that clip. And like I said, if I go further, not sure where my sound went, but that's fun. And there we go. And so once we've done that, now that bike, the tracker is going to move. And all I did was set a couple of points manually. I guess I'm a little behind on that last point there. Done. You can also, of course, make adjustments to these as you want to visually, or I can do it however I need to, like I said. So that was just the manual way, but being able to pan by looking at things as opposed to necessarily getting out your panner is pretty cool, in my opinion. So that is yet one of the other things that we have, like I said, that we can do very easily right here in the Fairlight page. And as far as the production, if you haven't worked with it, I know as far as AI, a lot of the rage is things like doing your transcription and being able to edit by text. Well, we can do all that too. That's, and so in wrapping up, I'll just point out that, we have all of those features as well. So if you're trying to sort through things or go through your footage, you absolutely can go in there. Actually, I'll use this instead. Sorry, switching back to this other project. And I will just go to the one just for no reason. I'll use the same clip. Whether you do it on the edit page or whether you do it on the Fairlight page, it won't matter. The main thing is we have that audio transcription, which you're able to bring that up. In fact, I'll do it from here on the edit page. So that's a thing of the past, having to go through all that documentary footage and listening to every word that is spoken. You obviously don't have to worry about that anymore, which is great. Let me find my clip. If you can transcribe clips right here, you can transcribe many clips if you want to, and then go back and forth between those. You can also adjust speakers as you can in other software. And so, like I said, if you're worried about, hey, but I want to be able to do that, we can do that here too. You can even edit a timeline based on the transcription in the timeline. Select a section. If you need to cut back 3 minutes out of something, all you have to do is find that word that you're like, let's cut that out. Just find it in the transcription in the timeline and select it, and then just delete that section and it's gone. And then of course just clean it up a little bit. So the things that you can do here are incredible. And like I said, this is just the beginning of where things are headed, which is pretty exciting. So I will let you guys go for more exciting things, but
Wow.
that's it for now.
Wow.
So thanks.
Mary, wow, that's amazing. So it's not only the most ubiquitous color control, color finishing tool. You took a deep dive in audio, but you also edit with DaVinci Resolve. It does all these things. It's pretty incredible. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much, friends.